God speaks, and the words fall like thunder wrapped in velvet. This is not entertainment. This is not distraction. This is the unraveling of a truth so profound that heaven itself has held its breath, waiting for this precise moment when your eyes would find these words, when your heart would finally be ready to receive what has been hidden in plain sight. The person you love is not the same anymore. Listen to those words. Let them settle into the caverns of your chest where intuition lives. That feeling you have been pushing away, that whisper you have been calling paranoia, that ache you have dismissed as insecurity. It was never madness, it was prophecy. Something shifted last night, not in your imagination, not in some distant realm of possibility, in the tangible, breathing, bleeding world where souls collide and destinies fracture. The one whose name lives on your lips like a prayer, whose face appears behind your eyelids when you dare to dream of forever, walked through a doorway last night that has no return passage. And you, beloved, you were kept outside that door, your hand reaching for a knob that would not turn, your voice calling into a space that swallowed sound. I am the Lord, the architect of all that was and is and shall be. And I am telling you now, before another sunrise paints the sky with false promises of normalcy, that the silence you have been drowning in is not empty. It is full, bursting, screaming with the weight of what cannot be spoken. They are different now. Their laughter carries echoes of things they wish they could forget. Their eyes, once windows, have become mirrors, reflecting back at you what you want to see while concealing continents of shadow. You have noticed, haven't you? The way conversations end abruptly, the way their touch lingers a second less, the way they stare at nothing, trapped in a memory they refuse to share. You thought it was you. You cataloged every word you said, every action you took, searching for the mistake that caused this inexplicable distance. You tried harder, loved louder, gave more, but the gap only widened, and now you stand on one side of a chasm that appeared overnight, calling to someone who can hear you but cannot answer. Heaven watched it happen. Angels witnessed the precise moment when light dimmed behind their eyes. I sent messengers to surround them as their world fractured, as something broke inside them that was never meant to be broken. The spiritual realm shook, demons celebrated, and you slept, unaware that while you dreamed of futures together, they were losing pieces of themselves in the darkness. This is not cruelty, this is mercy. I am pulling back the veil because your love deserves truth, not shadows. Your heart deserves clarity, not the slow poison of deception. You have been loyal, patient, faithful beyond measure, and that faithfulness has earned you this revelation, even though it arrives wrapped in pain last night. Those two words hold universes. Last night, while the world scrolled through meaningless distractions, while cities hummed their electric lullabies, while you trusted that all was well, a confrontation occurred. A moment crystallized. A choice was made or forced upon them. And the person you knew, the soul you believed you understood, encountered something that shattered their foundation. It might have been a conversation that went too far, words spoken that cannot be unspoken, truths revealed that poisoned the well of what they thought they knew, or perhaps it was an action, a single decision that seemed small in the moment, but carried the weight of eternal consequence. Maybe it was betrayal, maybe it was revelation, maybe it was the collision of secrets they had been hiding even from themselves. But the mechanics don't matter as much as the aftermath. They stood in the wreckage of that moment, and everything they believed about themselves dissolved. The story they told about who they were, the identity they had constructed so carefully, crumbled. And in that crumbling they found themselves naked before truths they were not prepared to face. I watched them. I am always watching, not with judgment, but with the complex love of a creator who knows every fiber of every soul. I watched them try to rebuild themselves in those first moments after. Watched them attempt to pretend it hadn't happened, to walk away unscathed, to return to you as if nothing had shifted. But souls don't lie. Even when mouths do, the damage was done. The mark was made, and they became someone new against their will. You sense it. You have sensed it from the first moment they looked at you after. Their smile was there, but it was a performance. Their words were correct, but the music beneath them had changed keys. You have been trying to solve a puzzle, But you didn't know you were missing pieces. You didn't know that the picture you were trying to complete had been torn apart and hastily reassembled with parts missing. Here is what heaven sees that you cannot. They are terrified, not of external things, but of you, of what you will think when the truth emerges, of how you will look at them when you see what they have become. So they hide. They create distance not because they love you less, but because they love you enough to want to preserve your image of them, even if it means slowly disappearing from your life. The silence you are experiencing is not absence of feeling. It is overflow, too much to say, and no words adequate to contain it. They want to tell you. Part of them screams to confess, to collapse into your arms and let everything spill out. But another part, the part wounded and afraid, builds walls, fortifies, retreats into isolation that feels safer than vulnerability. And there is something else. Someone else knows what happened. This is the piece that will hurt you most when it is finally confirmed. Another person exists in this equation, someone who was there, who saw, who participated or witnessed or caused what occurred. They hold knowledge that you don't. They have seen a version of your beloved that you haven't encountered. And that knowledge creates a bond, sick and twisted, though it may be, that competes with your connection. You have had dreams, strange, unsettling visions in the night where you see them crying but cannot reach them, where they are calling for help but you cannot hear the words, where danger surrounds them and you are frozen, unable to move. Those aren't random firings of a sleeping mind. Those are spiritual transmissions. I have been trying to tell you in the language of symbols what I am now telling you in plain speech. The divine realm doesn't operate on human timelines. We see patterns before they complete. We know endings before middles. And we have known for some time that this moment would arrive, when truth could no longer be contained, when revelation would crack through the surface of normalcy and demand to be seen. You are about to receive confirmation. It is already in motion. The universe is conspiring to show you what you need to see. It might come through a message you weren't meant to find, a slip of the tongue, a chance encounter, a piece of evidence that falls into your lap as if placed there by invisible hands. You will want to dismiss it at first. You will create explanations, excuses, alternative narratives. But then the second sign will come, and then the third 3 times. I will confirm this truth 3 times in rapid succession, so you will know beyond doubt that this message was not accident or imagination, but divine intervention. And when those 3 confirmations arrive, when you can no longer deny what is being shown to you, you will face a choice that will define the next chapter of your life. Do you walk away? Do you stay and fight? Do you demand answers? Do you wait in silence? The choice is yours, and heaven will honor whatever you decide, but you cannot choose blindly. You cannot choose while pretending you don't know what you know. That is not love. That is fear masquerading as compassion. Real love sees. It sees the wound and doesn't flinch. It sees the failure and doesn't flee. It sees the darkness and brings light. Not by ignoring the shadows, but by standing in them with eyes wide open and heart somehow still beating. You have that kind of love in you. I placed it there. I designed you with the capacity for love that transcends betrayal, disappointment, and human frailty. But loving them through this doesn't mean losing yourself. It doesn't mean accepting lies. It doesn't mean becoming complicit in your own deception. You can love someone and still demand truth. You can stay and still set boundaries. You can forgive and still require change. These are not contradictions. These are the paradoxes that mature love must navigate. Your person is drowning right now, not in water, but in guilt, in shame, in the gap between who they were and who they have become, in the chasm between what they did and what they wish they had done. Voices attack them in the quiet moments, accusing voices that sound like their own thoughts but carry the venom of darker sources. You are not worthy. You are not lovable. You are broken beyond repair. You have ruined everything. These are lies, but lies believed become reality. And right now they believe them more than they believe your love. When you say I love you, the words hit a wall of shame and slide off, unable to penetrate. Not because your love is weak, but because their self-hatred is strong. They cannot receive what they feel they don't deserve. This is spiritual warfare, ancient, vicious, real. Forces you cannot see with physical eyes are fighting for the soul you love. Light and darkness engaged in a battle that has been raging since long before last night. But last night was when a crucial blow was struck. And now the outcome hangs in balance, determined not just by their choices, but by yours. Will you be a warrior or a victim? Will you stand in the gap or run from the battlefield? Will you pray with authority or despair in silence? The angels are waiting. Archangel Michael stands ready, his sword drawn, his wings spread, his gaze fixed on you. He fights for those who ask him to fight. He defends those who claim his protection. But he cannot move without invitation. Speak his name. Call on the forces of heaven that were created to assist you in moments like this. You are not powerless. You are not without resources. You have access to realms of power that can shift what seems immovable, heal what seems destroyed, restore what seems lost forever. But you must activate that power through faith, through prayer, through declaring truth over lies. God says your person can be restored, damaged, yes, changed, absolutely, but not beyond reach, not beyond redemption. I specialize in resurrections. I take what is dead and breathe life back into it. I take what is shattered and make it whole, not by denying the breaks, but by filling them with gold, creating something more beautiful than the original. That is what I want to do here, but I need cooperation. I need them to turn toward light instead of retreating further into darkness. I need you to be strong enough to hold space for truth instead of clinging to comfortable illusions. I need both of you to understand that this crisis is not the end of your story, but the middle. The place where everything seems lost but is actually being reconfigured into something more real, more solid, more capable of lasting. The pain you are feeling is not punishment. It is transition. It is the death of naivety, the shedding of fantasy, the burning away of what was never meant to remain. You loved an image, a projection, a version of them that existed partly in your imagination. Now you have the opportunity to love a real person, flawed and failing and frightened. That is harder. It requires more, but it is also deeper, truer, more aligned with how I love. I don't love humans despite their failures. I love them through their failures, in their failures, with full awareness of every mistake they have made and will make. My love doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty, and that is what is being demanded of you now. Honest love. Love that sees clearly and chooses anyway, or love that sees clearly and chooses differently. Either path can be holy if it is walked with integrity. You will survive this. That is my promise. Not that you will not hurt. Not that you will not cry until your throat is raw and your eyes are swollen. Not that you will not question everything you thought you knew, but that you will survive. You will move through this fire and emerge, not unburned but refined, stronger, wiser, more yourself than you have ever been. The strength you need is already inside you. I don't give trials without also providing the grace to endure them. Right now, even as you read these words, I am infusing you with supernatural peace. It doesn't make sense based on circumstances. It defies logic, but it is there, underneath the panic, underneath the fear, a bedrock of calm that whispers you are held, you are loved, you are not alone. Breathe that in. Let it fill the spaces where anxiety has been living. Let it push out the what-ifs and the worst-case scenarios. Let it remind you that regardless of what happens with this person, with this situation, you remain valuable. Your worth was never dependent on their choices. Your identity was never built on their stability. You are who you are because I made you, and I don't make mistakes. What happened to them last night does not define your future. It has affected your present. Yes, it has complicated your path, but it has not destroyed your destiny. You are still moving toward everything I have planned for you. This detour, painful though it is, will ultimately reveal itself as part of the journey, not a derailment from it. Trust is hard right now, I understand. You trusted them, and that trust was violated or at least severely tested. So trusting me, trusting the process, trusting that there is purpose in this pain feels like too much to ask. But I am asking anyway, not because I am cruel, but because I can see ahead in ways you cannot. I can see how this chapter ends, and I am telling you, it ends with you standing taller, seeing clearer, loving wiser, The person you love may come back to themselves. They may wake up from this nightmare of their own making and fight to reclaim what was lost. They may look you in the eyes and finally tell you everything, holding nothing back, willing to face your reaction, whatever it may be. That is possible. I can orchestrate that. I can soften hearts that have turned to stone. I can break through walls that seem impenetrable. Or they may not. They may choose to stay hidden, to keep running, to protect their secrets at the cost of your connection. That is also possible, because I gave all humans free will, and I don't override it even when they use it destructively. If that happens, if they choose darkness over light, isolation over vulnerability, you will have a different decision to make. And I will give you wisdom for that too. But today, right now, you don't need to decide anything except to stay present, to breathe, to acknowledge what you are feeling without being consumed by it, to reach for me instead of spiraling into despair. You don't have to fix anything today. You don't have to confront anyone. You don't have to have answers. You just have to stay soft in a world that wants to make you hard. Stay open in a situation that tempts you to close. Stay hopeful even though hope feels foolish. I am with you, not as a distant concept, not as a theological idea, but as a present reality, closer than your breath, more constant than your heartbeat, aware of every thought, every fear, every moment when you feel like you cannot take another step. I am carrying what you cannot carry. I am fighting what you cannot fight. I am doing in the unseen realm what needs to be done while you simply endure in the visible one. The story is not over. This chapter is dark, but chapters are not books. There are pages ahead you haven't seen yet. Scenes that haven't unfolded, conversations that haven't happened, miracles that haven't manifested. You are in the middle, and middles are always the hardest part because you can see what was but cannot yet see what will be. You are suspended between past and future, and that space is uncomfortable by design. But it is also sacred. It is where transformation happens, where you shed old skins and grow new ones, where you learn what you are made of, where faith becomes real instead of theoretical. You didn't choose this, but you can choose how you walk through it, with bitterness or grace, with vengeance or forgiveness, with closing down or opening up in new ways. Your pain is not wasted. I collect every tear in bottles. I remember every night you couldn't sleep. I record every prayer you whispered through clenched teeth. None of it is invisible to me. None of it is meaningless. It is all being woven into something, a tapestry you cannot see yet because you are too close to the loom. Step back. Trust the weaver. Believe that beauty can come from threads that look ugly when examined individually. This message found you for a reason. Divine timing, cosmic alignment. Whatever language makes sense to your mind, the point is the same. You needed to know. You needed to see. You needed to stop living in the illusion and start living in truth. Even though truth is harder and hurts more and offers no easy answers. You are not crazy. You are not paranoid. You are not overreacting. You are waking up. And waking up always feels disorienting because dreams, even bad ones, are familiar. Reality requires adjustment. Give yourself time for that adjustment. Be patient with your own process. Let yourself grieve what you thought you had while remaining open to what you might still have or might find elsewhere. The one you love is fighting battles you cannot see. Have compassion for that even as you demand honesty about it. They are not a villain. They are a wounded person making wounded choices. That doesn't excuse the pain they have caused you, but it contextualizes it, helps you see the bigger picture, keeps your heart from hardening into something you will not recognize later. You will get through this. Not alone, not easily, but thoroughly, completely, in a way that leaves no part of you untouched, unexamined, or unchanged. And on the other side, you will look back at this moment and recognize it as the beginning of your becoming, not the end of your hoping. Heaven is for you, angels surround you, light is fighting on your behalf. And I, the eternal constant, the beginning and the end, the one who knows you better than you know yourself, I am holding you through every second of this unfolding. You will not fall. You will not break beyond repair. You will not lose yourself in this storm. This is your story, but I am the author, And I write better endings than humans can imagine. Trust that, cling to that. Let that be the truth that outlasts all the confusion. You are loved, you are seen, you are safe, even in the chaos. This is not the end, this is the awakening.